and welcome back to the live coverage of the book reading competition of the year, the 2021 edition of YRCA, Young Reader's Choice Award. YRCA TV is the place where readers like you, along with the help of the Edmonton Public Library, learn about the books competing for this prestigious prize. I'm your host, Rena Backstrom, and do we have an exciting program for you today? We're going to be introducing the contenders for the title of 2021 YRCA Junior Division Champion. This year's slate of candidates is quite impressive. I can't remember a time that I saw such a strong lineup. It's going to be a tight competition. A quick recap for our viewers just tuning in this season. Our book contenders are competing for the title of 2021's most popular book as selected by young readers in Western Canada and the Western United States. Last year's Junior Division title went to Refugee by Alan Gratz, with Insignificant Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling taking the intermediate title. Book heavyweight and crowd pleaser, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas rounded out our winners in the Senior Division. To help us learn a little bit more about our contenders, we're going to go live on location to several experts in the field. First, we have Christy on location in London to tell us a little bit about the book Sweep, The Story of a Girl and Her Monster by Jonathan Auxier. Christy, you're live on the air. Can you tell us why you think Sweep should be this year's YRCA winner?
I am a huge fan of historical fiction. That's a story where the characters are pretend, but the story itself is about real-world history and events.
That sounds really interesting. Can you tell us a little more about the book?
How about I whet your appetite with a brief synopsis of the story itself? Imagine this, a black tunnel the size of an open book. An endless winding tunnel with no light at the end. The walls in the tunnel are sharp enough to cut your skin bloody. The walls will crush you if you make a wrong move. Oh, and some of the walls are on fire. Now place a burlap sack over your head. Take a deep breath if you still can, and crawl inside. As a 6-year-old in London, it is your job to climb into these terrifying tunnels called chimneys to clear away the soot. But now imagine this. A clump of ash you've carried since you were small, one that is always magically warm, comes alive and turns into your very own monster. 11-year-old Nan Sparrow is a struggling chimney sweep in Victorian London who has escaped her abusive master with the help of her ash-covered monster. Read the thrilling tale of Sweep, the story of a girl and her monster.
Oh my, how thrilling! And also a little scary. Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful taste of Sweep. I definitely want to get my hands on a copy of that book. Sweep will be tough competition. Let's get a feel for some of our other contenders. We'll now go to Meg. Meg, where are you at today?
I'm here in a land called Imagination, because I love things that are both imaginary and magical.
I think I'd like to visit that place as well. I believe you're going to be telling us about the book Granted today by John David Anderson.
That's right. Have you ever wished upon a star, thrown a coin into a well, blown out your birthday candles, broken a wishbone? Even if you don't tell anyone your wish, someone always hears it. In a magical land called The Haven lives a young fairy named Ophelia Delphinium Fidgets. She is no ordinary fairy. She is a granter. One of the select fairies whose job it is to venture out into the world and grant the wishes of unsuspecting humans every day. Ophelia is smart, well-prepared, and eager, but training in the Haven is not the same as action in the real human world. In the real world, there are territorial geese, hungry dogs, rogue wishes, traffic, and something unexpected around every corner. Ophelia must realize that wish granting takes more than a wisher and a granter. It takes friends, faith, and of course, magic. So what's it about? A fairy ventures into the human world for the first time to grant a very special wish.
I wish all the books could win. They sound so great. Meg, thanks so much for telling us a little bit about Granted. Wow, we are 2 for 2 here on the YRCA competition so far. Let's take it over to Jennifer to tell us about our next title, Positively Izzy by Terry Libinson. Hello, Jennifer. You're now live on YRCA TV.
Thanks so much. I am so excited to be sharing a little about the book, Positively Izzy. What I love about this book is that it is so real. It could be a story about any 2 friends in school here in Edmonton, and that is why I think it will appeal to our young readers.
Right. So a story that's relatable. That will be a strong contender. Can you give us a quick sneak peek into the book?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask, so here it goes. So, this is Bree, but some people call her the Brain. This is Izzy. You could say she's a bit of a dreamer. Bree doesn't like labels, even though middle school is full of them. Everyone knows who the jocks are and who the class clown is, but Bree argues that people can't be just one thing. Izzy's mom worries about her a lot, especially about her grades. Izzy loves creative writing, art, and drama, but let's just say that her other subjects like math and science are different. On the day of the big school talent show, the drama teacher, aka her mom, asks Bree for a favor, a big favor. She wants Bree, the girl without a creative bone in her body, to act in the grade 7 play. Izzy, however, is so excited. She has worked so hard on her skit, and she just knows that people are going to love it. That is, until her mom finds out that she failed her math test and grounds her. Will Izzy make it to the talent show? Will Bree, the Brain, overcome her label to help her mom with the play? Read Positively Izzy to find out.
What a cliffhanger. I wonder how that will turn out. I guess I'll just have to add it to my list of must-reads. Can there really be 5 more books that can contend with these titles? This is amazing. Let's take it over to Christine in a very spooky location to tell us about our next title, Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. Hello, Christine, you're on the air. Can you tell us why Small Spaces, in your mind, is the top contender for the 2021 title of Junior Division Champion?
Thanks so much for having me on the show. I love a book that has a little bit of the scare factor. Think of titles from past years, The Night Gardener, The Nest, In Between. Small Spaces has that same thrill factor.
Ooh, I love a good thrill. Can you share a few more of the juicy details with us?
Oh, sure. Here goes. As Ollie wheeled her bike down the path to her favorite swimming hole, she was surprised to see someone was already there. A woman stood sobbing. Her white-knuckled hands gripped a small book. I just have to get rid of this. Put it in the water. Then she turned and smiled at Ollie, a joyless pumpkin grin. Avoid large places at night, the woman said. Keep to the small. Ollie was torn between wanting to run out of there and wanting to stay to understand. Small, shrieked the woman. Small spaces. Keep to the small spaces, or see what happens to you. Just see. And she burst into wild laughter. Little does Ollie know that as she flees back up the trail, this meeting is only the beginning of her deliciously creepy, spine-tingling adventure. 11-year-old Ollie must solve a 100-year-old mystery to save her classmates, to save them from the sinister smiling man who sends out at night his servants to claim the living. Read Small Spaces by Catherine Arden to discover who survives.
I think I have goosebumps. Christine, thank you so much for telling us about that thrilling read. Apologies, viewers. Fluffy is not supposed to be allowed in the recording studio. And now we'll go to Lindsay in India to tell us about our next book, The Serpent's Secret by Sayantani Dasgupta. Hello, Lindsay. You're live on YRCA TV. Can you tell us, why do you think The Serpent's Secret should get the vote of our young audience for the title of 2021 YRCA Book of the Year?
Yes, thank you. The heroine of The Serpent's Tale discovers that she isn't the normal 12-year-old girl that she thought she was.
Oh, intrigue. I love Harry Potter, so this sounds like the perfect book for me. Can you tell us a little more about the book?
I can. In fact, I love me a little drama. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to dramatize the story for you. Guys, you are never going to believe this, but there's a giant raccoish tearing up my kitchen, and I think he just hit my parents and sent them to another dimension. Wait a second. You don't actually know what a raccoish is, do you? 10 foot tall, warty green skin, thick gooey drool, enormous horns and fangs. Ugh. I've always thought they were just an old Bengali folktale my parents told me growing up, along with stories about princes on flying horses, a jealous serpent king, and something about me being a moon princess in hiding. I'm going to save my parents. I have to, but I have a feeling things are going to get a lot more weird. What's it about? 12-year-old Kiramala is ripped away from her comfortable life in New Jersey on a journey to a faraway kingdom to rescue her parents and discover who she really is.
Wow, that sounds so exciting. You can sign me up to get swept off in that Bengali folktale. But right now, let's get swept off to the land of the dragonettes. Hello, Masha. I believe you're going to be telling us about the graphic novel Wings of Fire, The Dragonette Prophecy by Twee Sutherland and adapted by Barry Deutsch. Go ahead. You're live on YRCA TV.
This book speaks for itself. Let me give you a little sneak peek. When the war has lasted 20 years, the dragonettes will come. When the land is soaked in blood and tears, the dragonettes will come. 5 dragonettes are born and raised together far away from their families. They're trained to fight and destined to fulfill a prophecy. When one of their own is threatened, they must choose. Follow the fate that has been laid out for them, or venture out into a world they have never known and forge their own paths.
That story sounds wonderfully thrilling. And with the added bonus of the exciting pictures and the quick read, I'm sure it will be a popular choice. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Masha. Now let's head to Pine Mountain to talk to Neil about his book choice, Arlo Finch in the Valley of Fire by John August. Hello, Neil. You're live on YRCA TV. Can you tell us, what is it about this book that you think makes it a winner?
Well, I love a good adventure story, and this is one great adventure story. One that I'm super confident our young readers are going to find super exciting.
So tell us a little bit about what happens in the book.
Sure thing. With the oath finished, everyone relaxed out of their salutes. Arlo put his hand down. His palm was sweaty. Christian made it official. Arlo Finch has taken his ranger's vow. May his path be safe. All the other rangers spoke in unison. May his aim be true. When Arlo Finch pulls up to his new home in Pine Mountain, all he can see is how dangerous it looks. The roof has some holes. The front porch is sagging. Inside, he finds flickering lights and a locked door that leads to his eccentric uncle's taxidermy workshop. But Arlo soon realizes that the house could be the least of his worries. At school, his classmates mention the Field Book, a guide to surviving gravel snakes, fairy beetles, and balls of flying light that lure travelers off the forest path to their deaths. To get the field book, Arlo must join the Rangers, a group of kids that seem like the Scouts, but might end up being more like a neighborhood watch. Will joining the Rangers keep Arlo safe, or lead him to more danger than he could ever imagine?
That really does sound like an amazing adventure. Thanks so much for sharing, Neil. Well, we just have one title left to talk about. We're now going to go live to Kate right here in Canada to tell us about our final book, Inkling, by Canadian author Kenneth Opel. Kate, you're live on YRCA TV. Can you tell us what you think makes Inkling a winner?
Well, thanks so much for having me on the program. If you have read any of Kenneth Opel's previous books, you will know that one of his gifts is creating interesting and very unusual heroes.
Can you give us a bit of an example from the book?
Absolutely. No one was awake to see it happen, except the cat who was on a midnight prowl. The ink in the sketchbook suddenly looked wet. Then it beaded and started slithering toward the crease in the middle. As the ink moved, it left no smear, just a blank page. It swirled round and round, spinning itself into all kinds of strange, beautiful shapes. The cat pounced, but Inkling escaped into Ethan's room. Now, everyone assumes that because his father is a famous artist, that Ethan can draw too. But he can't. Unfortunately, his friends are counting on him to illustrate their graphic novel. Inkling, a blob of ink that can move, communicate, and draw perfectly, can give Ethan exactly what he wants. But what will Ethan do when Inkling goes missing?
That sounds like an amazing book. Will someone please take Fluffy? And that rounds out this year's impressive lineup. Even with all of my years of expertise, I can't pick a clear standout. I'm so grateful I don't have to choose the winner. It would be so hard to pick between all of those books. But our viewers at home will know that the decision is not up to me. Only kids can vote on the candidates. That's right, the choice is in the hands of our loyal viewers. We can't wait to hear your thoughts as this year's season plays out. And we know you're just as excited as we are to weigh in on the competition. Don't forget to check in at your Edmonton Public Library or your school library to pick up a copy of one of this year's contenders. Then vote. Vote at your library, vote at your school, tell your friends to vote, tell your pets to vote. Well, maybe don't tell your pets to vote. And definitely don't tell your teachers to vote or any other adults. This contest is only in the hands of kids. Voting begins this fall and continues into the spring. So don't miss your chance to decide on this year's winner. Well, that's all for today, viewers. Don't forget to tune in next time for another edition of the Edmonton Public Library's YRCA TV, your source for book competition and news.